Thea Stilton. MOUSEFORD Academy. Drama at MOUSEFORD. Happy birthday, MOUSEFORD! The air at MOUSEFORD Academy was filled with excitement. The school was turning 600 years old. A big birthday like that called for a big celebration. The professors at the academy had been trying for weeks to come up with the perfect event to mark the occasion. The school's headmaster, Professor Octavius de Mussis, threw the pages of ideas. But he just couldn't make up his mind. There were so many to choose from. A cheese festival? A cheese sculpting contest? Fireworks? Nothing seemed quite perfect enough. He just couldn't decide. An important decision. The Thea sisters could all feel the excitement in the air. They felt lucky to be at the school during such an important anniversary. Wow, can you believe this place has been here for 600 years? Nikki asked. I can't wait to find out what the big celebration will be, Pamela said. I hope it's a super cheesy feast. Oh, or a really big dance. Colette exclaimed, clapping her paws. I was thinking that a concert would be nice, Violet added. Whatever it is, I'm sure it will be mouse-elastic, Paulina said confidently. The professors are working really hard on this. Pam suddenly looked alarmed. Hey! You don't think they'll do a math marathon or a spelling bee, do you? Her friends all burst out laughing. I hope not, Paulina answered. I'm sure whatever they're planning will be fun. Nikki frowned. Unless the Ruby crew decides to spoil things, like they usually do. The Thea sisters all knew what Nikki meant. Ruby Flashyfur and her friends weren't exactly team players. Anytime they got involved in an event, they wanted to do things their way. I hope not, Pam said. That would stink worse than rotten cheese. While the students waited to hear the news, Headmaster de Mussis gathered all the professors in the staff room. Time was running out, and they had to make a decision. The headmaster cleared his throat. My distinguished colleagues, he began. There are exactly 3 months until the official ceremony, and we need to come up with a proper celebration. The professors began to talk all at once. What about my idea? No, mine is the best. The headmaster tapped his paw on the table. Now, all of your proposals were good, but none of them were quite right, he said. We need something mouse-atacular. Across the table, Professor Margaret Ratcliffe gave a little cough. A professor of literature and creative writing, she was usually very quiet and kept to herself. The answer is obvious, she said. William Shakespeare, the great playwright, attended this academy many years ago. We should perform one of his great works. The headmaster's eyes lit up. A play? That's just the thing. This way, both students and teachers can be involved, said Professor Ratcliffe. We haven't had a play performed here since we shut down the theater department years ago. MOUSEFORD Academy could use a little drama in these halls. Headmaster de Mussis nodded. It is exactly the mouse-atacular idea that we needed. An awkward spy. All of the professors agreed that a William Shakespeare play was the perfect idea for a celebration. This is a wonderful opportunity for the students, said Professor Matilda Marblemouse. The students who don't want to act can work behind the scenes. Others can handle publicity and make posters. Or they can dash. Before she could finish her sentence, a loud noise that sounded like an out-of-tune piano interrupted her. Plink! Plunk! Plunk! Plank! What is going on? Asked Headmaster de Mussis. Professor Marblemouse got up to investigate, and Professor Bartholomew Sparkle joined her. The noise was coming from a room next to the staff room that was used to store musical instruments. The two professors cautiously approached the door and opened it. A streak of light lit up Ruby Flashyfur, who was hiding under a grand piano. What are you doing here? Asked Professor Sparkle. Ruby quickly got to her feet. I was practicing the piano. The two teachers exchanged glances. They both knew Ruby well. It was clear that she wasn't there to practice the piano. She had been eavesdropping. I know what you're up to, Ruby, Professor Marblemouse said. And I guess I understand. I know all of the students are curious to find out what the big celebration will be. But eavesdropping is still wrong, Professor Sparkle added. Ruby tried to look innocent. But I wasn't Dash. No excuses, Ruby, Professor Marblemouse said. Now get to your room. And don't whisper a word about this to anyone. Not until the headmaster's big announcement. Oh, I promise, Ruby said, batting her eyelashes. But as soon as she got back to the dorm, she burst into the room where her friends were eagerly waiting for her. You won't believe what I found out, she squeaked. Squeakspare's cheesy play. The next day, the school auditorium was buzzing with anticipation. Headmaster de Mousses was about to make a big announcement. I can't wait to find out what the celebration will be, Nikki said, practically bouncing in her seat. Ruby walked past, her snout in the air as always. Some of us in the know already know, she said mysteriously. Pam frowned. What does that mean? Paulina nudged her friend. SSSH. The headmaster's about to speak. Headmaster de Mousses cleared his throat. Dear students, I am sure you are aware of the importance of this announcement, he began. Oh no, Nikki groaned. It's another one of his long lectures. 600 years is a major anniversary, the headmaster went on. Therefore, it deserves a celebration worthy of blah blah blah, one that will stand the test of blah blah blah. He never stops talking. NOOO. Nikki wailed, covering her ears with her paws, and her friends giggled. SSSH. Violet warned. He'll hear you. The headmaster droned on. Blah blah blah, after much deliberation. Blah blah blah, and an excellent suggestion by Professor Ratcliffe. Blah blah blah, we all agreed that we will put on a play. The chattering students suddenly became quiet. He had their attention. And not just any play, Professor de Mousses continued. We will perform a work by MOUSEFORD Academy's most famous alumnus, William Shakespeare. The audience burst into applause. And now Professor Ratcliffe will give us more information about the performance, the headmaster announced. For the performance, we have chosen Shakespeare's greatest play, the professor said. Everyone began to chatter. Which one would it be? A Midsummer Night's Cheese? Much Ado About Cheddar? Rodent 3? This play tells the tale of two young friends from rival cheese-making families, Professor Ratcliffe continued. One makes a fine blue cheese, and the other makes a tasty mozzarella. The cheese-crossed young rodents want to open their own cheese shop together, but their jealous families want to keep them apart. The students let out a cheer. Everyone knew that play. It's Mouseo and Juliet. Professor Ratcliffe announced, and the students started to talk excitedly. Ruby raised her paw. I know every line. Hooray! Hooray! Yippee! Great idea! Professor, she bragged. Mouseo, oh, Mouseo, wherefore art thou, Mouseo? Please save it for the audition, Ruby, Professor Ratcliffe said. Tomorrow, we'll post an audition schedule in the main hall. Everyone is welcome to try out. The students started to whoop and cheer again. Headmaster de Mousses stood. Settle down, students. This meeting is over. Please proceed to your next class. The young rodents rushed out of the auditorium eager to start practicing for the tryouts. The competition had begun. The auditions begin. The Thea sisters stayed up late that night talking about the play. The next day, they walked together to the main hall to see the audition announcement. A crowd of excited students had already gathered around the board. Auditions for the MOUSEFORD Academy production of Mouseo and Juliet will be held this Saturday at 3 p.m. in the auditorium. All students interested in acting roles should attend. Headmaster Octavius de Mussis. Paulina turned to her friends. Are you all thinking of auditioning? She asked. You bet, said Nikki. I've climbed mountains and slept in the desert, but I've never had a lead in a play. Playing Juliet would be an awesome challenge. Juliet is such a beautiful soul, Violet said. Like a lilting concerto. I would love to win that role. I think Juliet is such a romantic part, added Colette. I'd love to play her, and I'd wear a beautiful pink dress. Juliet is my favorite literary character, Paulina added. I have stage fright, but I might try to get over my fear if I could play her. I'm just thinking about how proud Thea would be if I got the lead part. Pam exclaimed. It's too bad we all can't play Juliet. Colette remarked. The Thea sisters got quiet. They knew that only one mouse could get the part of Juliet. Yet they all wanted it. Paulina spoke up first. I think I would be happy as long as one of us got the part, she said. Pam nodded. Me, too. We should make a pact, Nikki suggested. No matter what happens, we'll be happy for whomever gets it. She held out her paw. Violet, Paulina, and Pam each put a paw on top of hers. Only Colette held back. She was staring dreamily into space. Hey, Coco? Nikki asked. What's up? Sorry, Colette said, shaking her head. I was dreaming about that pink dress. She added her paw to the pile, and the friends made their pact. You know, we should get to the library, Violet suggested. We need to find a copy of that play. But when they got to the library, an unwelcome surprise awaited. Really, Ruby? How could there be none left? Nikki asked the librarian. There used to be a whole shelf of copies. I'm sorry, the librarian replied. But 2 days ago, every copy of every one of Shakespeare's plays was checked out. 2 days ago? Paulina asked. And every single copy? Maybe we can find some copies online, Violet suggested. But we'll lose practice time while we're waiting for them to arrive, Nikki said with a sigh. The Thea sisters sadly went back to Nikki and Paulina's room to figure something out. There's got to be a solution, Colette said. I'm sure we could find someone to share their copy with us. That's just the thing, Nikki said. I've texted everybody we know, and nobody has a copy. Violet frowned. That's strange. Then who took out all those books? Suddenly, the friends heard voices in the hall. That sounds like Ruby. Pam exclaimed. I think we should see what she's up to, Paulina said. I have a feeling it's nothing good. Oh, Mouseo. The Thea sisters went into the hallway and found Ruby and her friends. The Ruby crew there. Each one of them held a copy of Mouseo and Juliet. Really, Ruby? Nikki asked, folding her arms. We should have known. Ruby's eyes widened innocently. What do you mean? Pam nodded toward the book in her paws. How did you all get a copy of the play? The library has been out of books for 2 days since before the play was even announced. Ruby sniffed. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you must have found out about the play early somehow, Paulina said quietly. That's why yesterday you said you were in the know. Ruby shrugged. I still don't know what you're talking about, she insisted. That's not fair, Nikki said. We should dash. Violet put a paw on her shoulder. Don't worry about it. I think I have an idea. They all went outside. Pam shook her head. That Ruby. Forget her, Violet said. I was thinking Headmaster de Mouses said the auditions were open to everyone. So I'm sure Professor Ratcliffe has more books somewhere. Great idea. Pam agreed. They went right to the professor's office, and Violet explained that the library was out of books. She left out their suspicions about Ruby. Focusing on the auditions was much more important. As she predicted, Professor Ratcliffe was very helpful. Don't worry, she assured them. I had a feeling that Headmaster de Mouses would love the idea of doing the play, so I ordered enough copies for everyone last week. They should be here tomorrow. Awesome, said Nikki. Then Professor Ratcliffe opened a drawer in her desk. Since I can see you are especially eager to practice, you may borrow my personal copy, she said, handing a book to Paulina. Thank you so much, Violet exclaimed. We'll take good care of it. Prepare yourselves well, the professor said. A combination of dedication and talent will get you far. The friends thanked her and left her office. Can you believe that? Pam asked. I always thought she was the strictest professor. But she's being super nice. I've always liked her, Paulina remarked. She loves books as much as I do. Nikki broke into a run. Come on,